Hello, everybody, and welcome to the E-commerce Foundation webinar, Zooming in on E-commerce Latin American edition. We're here at B Amsterdam, our lovely home for all of our webinars, the place for innovation live, it seems. And we are the E-commerce Foundation. We're here to foster global digital trade in the hopes that we will create a more peaceful world. That's our goal, at least. But most importantly, today we are here with two amazing people, our lovely panelists for our Latin American e-commerce experts. We've got, I might not do a great job with pronouncing names. As you can see, I'm American. So we have Rafael Soares, the head of e-commerce innovations at Mofo Designs.
Hello, everyone.
And let's see, I'm not going to say your name correctly, Mauricio, but I'm going to try. We have Mauricio Salvador, the president of ABcomm, the Brazilian E-commerce Association. Is that right?
That's it. Perfect. Mauricio Salvador, that's me.
Great. And thank you for joining us both. Okay, I'm just going to say really briefly, Mauricio, with the Brazilian E-commerce Association, from what I understand, your association has over 6,300 members approximately, and you are the representative really e-commerce entity in Brazil for anything related to e-commerce for retailers and anybody interested in e-commerce. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Actually, we now have over 8,000 members. This year, it's been a very important year to the association. We've been involved in many public politics issues, solving and defending the sector. And that's it. The association, we've been focused on public politics and also in training programs, to foster entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship, and this kind of
Very cool. An extra person logging in. And then also for Rafael, I wanted to give you a chance as well to say what you're doing currently at Mofo Designs, because I'm not sure. So if you want to give us a brief, what you're up to.
Sure. Great, Sarah. I am the person responsible for the head of innovation in our digital agency. We have our company have 10 years, and we always work in the marketing and digital marketing tools and strategies. And this year, we bring a consultant assistance to the small and medium entrepreneurs, small medium companies, and now we are introducing a new way to start the e-commerce projects with more planning, more strategy before the project start. And so we help the e-commerce entrepreneur to start the project in the right way and to the right direction.
Very cool. So it seems that you both cover interesting perspectives from the retailer perspective, especially great interest for retailers. So you both have two different things that you do, which makes you perfect for this webinar. So I'm really glad that you're joining us. So let's kick it off. Just if anybody has any questions in the attendee list, you can always put them in the little chat. Hopefully we have a chance to get to them, but we'll try to keep it short and sweet. So I'm going to start off first with Mauricio. I'm going to field you a question. What is the current status of mobile commerce or m-commerce in Latin America as a whole? You can speak to Brazil, of course, as I know that's an expert area, but if you could speak about it in regards to Latin America, that would be great.
It's growing fast. Brazil has some particularities regarding the internet access. Since it's a huge country, there are some states in Brazil that cable internet is very bad. So people, they just don't have internet access by cable. So the only way to access internet is by mobile. in this case, so these people, most on the north and northeast region in Brazil, they only buy online using mobile. So if you go to, if you see the sales on those two regions, almost 80% are being made by mobile. But if you see all the country, the average buying by mobile is around this year. I have the number here, 33%. So 1/3 of the online sales in Brazil are being on mobile. And we expect the forecast for the until 2020, it will be almost 40%. So it's growing very fast. So if you want to sell online in Brazil, you must be on mobile.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely.
Sorry, Sarah, just one interesting thing regarding mobile sales is that the average spend, it's almost 30% less than the desktop sales. So people, they spend less buying online and mobile phone in Brazil, actually.
Okay, so it sounds then, if I could prescribe, it sounds as if an omni-channel approach is actually quite important then, because although you do have a lot on mobile, if you want to sell more expensive items or bigger basket sizes, you might be better off with desktop and laptop. Yeah?
Yes, yes and no, because the omni-channel in Brazil, it's still slow because of the regulations, the laws, actually the tax laws in Brazil are not considering the existence of internet, the existence of mobile phones. So this is one things that the association are facing. We are trying to change the laws in Brazil because of this, just because you can't be omni-channel 100% omni-channel in Brazil because of this tax laws. So in fact, the buying mobile, we don't consider the omni-channel. You know what I mean? So people still can't buy online and pick up in stores, being 100% right in the law. So
Right.
this is a very big issue that we are facing and trying to correct.
Yeah, okay, so that actually, okay, I'm just gonna, I told our panelists I keep muting them so that we get great sound. So I'm gonna really quickly bounce over to Rafael then. My question for you, this is a good lead in. What makes the Brazilian, and I know it's about Latin America, but Brazil is such a leader in the e-commerce market, so I know we will focus a bit on that and maybe some of the other big countries, but what makes the Brazilian e-commerce market different from maybe some of those other leading e-commerce markets? Particularly for small to medium-sized businesses. It sounds like Mauricio has said that really the omni-channel is hard because of regulation. So what are some other things that makes Brazil very unique, maybe in comparison, but also in relation to cross-border, also a good choice?
It's a great question, Sarah. About the Brazilian difference between the other countries. Brazil is regionally is a huge country, and I can start with the logistical specifications. As a big country, but it's different from the United States, that you have a logistical structure. Well. Very, can I tell you, prepared for a huge volume of sales of goods, transport across the states. Here in Brazil, we have a huge country with some logistic specifications. We have the southeast of Brazil is a very developed place, and you can find good roads. You can find a good structure, and all the companies, the big companies and small companies, transporting goods for all over the Southeast region. But you can go up to the Brazilian country, and you will see a very non-developed region, and you have the logistical challenges that is for everyone here, but you can develop uh, strategies and different ways to attend the customers and do the deliveries be a good experience for the customer. As a huge region, and the last research that was that in the last year, you can find 55 millions of consumers that buy something online, and you can see that this is a huge quantity of active consumers, and this is almost concentrated in the Southeast region because it's a more developed region for this. But you can see that the other regions is taking a higher representative than the year before. As I told you, the Southeast region is very strong, but you can see that other regions is coming up with their necessities, their needs, and when we see that the other regions is asking for buy online and the need to buy online because everything is doing it, you can see that the logistical and the internet challenge, as Mauricio told before, I think that is the big challenges. And if you can pass them through and solve this problem and make this happen, I think that you can do a great job, a great number here in the Latin American and this particularly in the Brazilian country.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think so. It sounds that yeah, the country being as large as it is, and we know that there are some. After creating the Latin American report, which if you haven't read it, everybody should go on the e-commerce wiki and definitely download it and check it out. But I hope you can all still hear me okay. But the infrastructure and the logistics of the entire Latin American area, it seems, is I noticed it's in some areas it's much worse than in others. Brazil is doing obviously better, but there are some areas that are very insecure or unstable with their logistics and their infrastructure. But it does come to a really good question from Mauricio, and let me just answer my question. I'm going to skip one that I had for you and jump to this one. We work a lot with trust at the E-commerce Foundation because obviously trust is a huge issue for consumers, especially with what Rafael just said, being if they've got issues with infrastructure and logistics, you have to have way more trust in the system if you're going to order online. And so I'm curious what the status of trust for Latin American consumers as a whole is. Of course, still is a big talking point, but for Latin American consumers, online shoppers especially, how does trust play a role in that, and what are the main areas that e-commerce is lacking or maybe doing really well at in inspiring consumers to trust more and to therefore orders online more, especially in the infrastructure and logistics, because that's clearly an issue.
Okay, so trust is very important in Brazilian e-commerce because of there are a high volume of frauds on both sides, consumers or false consumers frauding online stores and false online stores frauding consumers. So there are some categories like cell phones or electronics or computers that almost 20% of the purchase of the trying to purchase its frauds. So you have to you must be very, very attention and cautious if you want to sell in Brazil these categories like this. So people must trust the online stores. Even and most important on small business, because they don't have strong brands, and that they can trust, because they see the store on the corner. So for a small business, they need trust seals. They need to use trust seals, and this is a market that it's still growing in Brazil. So we have, for just to have an idea, we have just one company in Brazil offering trust seals. It's a company that was acquired like 2 months ago. It was acquired by Nielsen Group, and because of this, we are supporting and we are representing the Safe.shop seal in Brazil, and we are believing that it will be very, very important for the development of the market there. Not because it is international safe shop, but because it is a trust seal, and the Brazilian e-commerce, the small business, they need these trust seals. We have also a huge website there. The name is Reclame Aqui. Reclame Aqui in English, it will be something like complain here. So it's a website that you go there to complain. If you have any problem regarding online shopping, or with insurance, or with your doctor, so you can complain of everything there, not only of online shopping. It has around 40 million access, 40 million unique visitors per month. So almost half of the Brazilian internet users go to this website per month. So people, before buying online, they go to this website to see if the online store if the online store has many complaints there, and if it has, so they won't buy on this online store. So we must now be more professional regarding trust seals in Brazil, and I think that Safe.shop will be very helpful in this case.
Cool. Well, and thank you for mentioning it. I guess for those of you who don't know, Safe.shop is actually an initiative that the Ecommerce Foundation, we started, and it was to foster global digital trade, because a lot of developing countries in different parts of the world, but also fully developed countries that maybe just are a bit slower on the uptake for e-commerce, or they need more help with the infrastructure. They need a domestic trust mark, and then also to sell cross-border eventually. So it's really cool that you brought that up. And it's awesome that you're doing it there and using it as a domestic trust mark, because that's also a great purpose of Safe.shop. And it also leads me to a really good question for Rafael, actually, because we brought up Safe.shop, and as I said, our mission is to foster global digital trade, which inevitably means shopping cross-border. It means being a small business owner and selling from where you are, be it Brazil or Argentina, and selling into another country. And I know that legally that can have there are some issues there with policies, especially in parts of Latin America. We also have it, we see it in Africa as well, in different African countries. And Safe.shop is supposed to help that, right? But my question to you, Rafael, is what are three most important tips, I guess, that you could give to small to medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, who are in Brazil, who want to sell more across the border, or perhaps people from countries nearby or from elsewhere that want to sell into Brazil? Obviously, Safe.shop is a great option because it gives them that trust seal. But what are some other tips that you could give SMEs who want to go cross border?
So, Sarah, about the companies that want to do business with Brazil and sell with their e-commerces doing a cross-border operation, we can map three kind of different strategies that you need to adopt to do business and go increase the sales volume here. The first of all is the payment method. Last researches show that the payment method changed a lot here in Brazil. In the past, we have the PayPal with a good representative market share of this kind of service, and now we see new payment methods. For instance, in 2014, we have a PayPal with 24% of the market share of this kind of service, and now we have a PayPal with 16% of it. And so the credit card increased a little bit, but the other kind of payments, the local payments, increased a lot. So we have here in Brazil, particularly a different year. This year, we have a very close relations with the small and the medium-sized companies, and everybody told her that the credit in Brazil is not going so well, and the people change their payment method from credit card to the local payment methods as a boleto, that is an invoice that you can pay at bank and internet, but it is a different kind of payment method that I think that do a big difference if you want to start to operate here in Latin America and particularly in Brazil. So the local payment is a very is a good point to develop if you want to really increase the operations and the cross-border operations with Latin America. You can find some players that offer this kind of service in the market. I can tell you a player that do it very well. That I think that EN Banks. I will try to look for this, and I will send you after our webinar. But we have two companies that have a good domain about it. The second tip that we can tell you is try to develop a good strategy for deliver the goods, because the customer in Latin America, as the other countries, the customer don't like to wait for the delivery happens, and don't wait too large a period of time to receive the goods. And so we want to receive faster as the other countries, but it's a very challenging here in Brazil, receive with a short time, a short transit time of these goods. And the third tip that we can share with everybody is the customs regulations. Customs regulations is too straight, as you told before. And here in Brazil, with a good documentation, you can go ahead and faster with some kind of clearance procedures here. And so our customs rules, regulations is too strict, and is not flexible for the foreign trade operations. And you can send a good documentation with a good documentation with the name of the consumer, the national ID, that is CPF number of this customer, and the right address, the amount of the goods declaration, and the freight cost. Everything should be visible to the customs agents, to the customs operator, to guarantee fast process and a good clearance, and to the customer receive this with any problem. This is the three specific things that we can see here in Brazil, and Argentina, and Mexico is the same procedures. I think that the same challenges, and you can go ahead with a good strategy with these 3 steps.
Okay, so it sounds like the payment methodology is super important to know what the local payment method is. I'm sure that's true probably outside of even Brazil. I imagine, as you said, Argentina and Mexico as well. Probably it's important to know what the local favorite payment is. Delivery strategy, and then customs, which is something I think not a lot of European small to medium-sized enterprises, not that they're not aware of customs, but I think when it comes to the intricacies or the specifics for each Latin American country and how they are different. I wonder, Mauricio, if maybe you have a bit of knowledge in this realm, being kind of a policy person as well. What is Brazil? This isn't on our question sheet, but I'm just interested. Are you making any steps as the association to promote policies that are better for customs, or are you looking to get them to change that or be more relaxed, or what's the future of the customs policies in Latin America if it is such a hindrance, I think. Yeah.
Yes, we are working on in the association to trying to create or to trying to renew some regulations, because there are many things that are very old that were created when internet didn't exist yet. So we have this kind of regulations in Brazil that and that impact directly in the e-commerce, not only in domestic online sales, but also in exporting and importing goods for cross-boarding. I give you an example. We have the main logistic player in Brazil. It's a public company, a government company. Its name is Correios. So like 2 months ago, they decided to charge 15 Brazilian reais per international purchase. Doesn't matter if the purchase was $1 purchase or $100 purchase. So the package will be charged 15 Brazilian reais. That it's like 3 euros. So they will charge 3 euros per package received internationally, plus the freight costs, the shipping costs. So it will be increased on the shipping costs. So it's very bad for the market, because people, they buy online. The Brazilian, they love to buy online on eBay, on Amazon, on AliExpress, on French online stores, on so even if the online stores offer free shipping, the Correios will charge 3 euros per package. They call it handling. So this is bad for the market, because the shipping cost it's already being paid. So they will increase the cost. So this is a strategy to decrease cross border in Brazil. That's what they are doing. So they are impacting directly on the cross border sales. And on the other hand, there's no kind of investment or fostering in online stores in Brazil to sell cross border. So there's no public politics that make interesting to online store to sell, a Brazilian online store to sell to European or to Europe or to US or to China. So what they are doing is just trying to kill the cross border in Brazil, because there's no fostering in exporting, and they are charging extra tax for importing. And in the middle is the association. So we are trying. So we have many lawyers in the association. This is the most important people in the association now. We have around 80 directors, and like 1/3 of them are lawyers, because we have many issues regarding this kind of regulation. But
Yeah.
we are there. We are fighting against. But it's difficult. It's bureaucratic. But I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So we will we will win at the end. But it's very complicated.
Yeah, but
And
it's good that they have you though, because it seems to always be the case that you are the middleman, so to speak, and protecting all the stakeholders is not easy. So consumers as well, because small to medium SMEs will be hurt a lot by this cross-border this extra charge, as you said, the €3 for us, the 15 Brazilian reals for you. It's it's quite a lot. If you're a small to medium sized business, you might actually offset that cost to your consumer, and then of course they would be less likely maybe to even buy from you then, because they have to pay more. And yeah, well, that's what, you know, what's interesting though, you brought up a few different marketplaces in what you just said, and I was going to ask you, it sounds interesting because I did not hear you bring up Mercado Libre. I'm not sure. I'm totally making that up, but I did not hear you bring it up, and I was quite shocked because I think that one is still #1 in Latin America. And so I would like your thoughts on the marketplace, the whole situation with the marketplaces. I would like to hear from both of you, but Mauricio, I still have you unmuted, so if you want to go first, that would be great.
all right, thank you. Yes, Mercado Libre, they are the #1 marketplace. They have around 25% of the market share of the e-commerce market share. So it's a huge company. And but they are focused also in small business. So they have around 100. The last number I heard, it was like 120,000 sellers. So a lot of people selling on Mercado Libre, and they are very representative, and so they are doing fine. So and also they are now starting to cross border, but not with not very intensive. So they will they have a lot of work to do in the domestic market, and then before they go strong with the cross border. But also we have huge players like Amazon. Amazon starts selling uh, products in Brazil 1 year ago. So October last year, they start selling products in Brazil. Until that, they were selling only digital goods. So Amazon is in Brazil for 1 year, we can say that. So they are very strong, and they are entering the market now. So this is a very important competitor also. And we have other marketplaces like B2W, Walmart, Magazine Luiza. Most of the top 10 big players in Brazil, they are now marketplacing.
Mhm. Yeah, I noticed that as well when I was doing research for this. Okay, I'm going to just I'm going to unmute Rafael so you can also answer. My question for you, Rafael, is also related to the marketplaces and your opinion on them, but also you brought up strategy a lot earlier, e-commerce strategy. How do marketplaces fit in to an e-commerce strategy for Brazilian SMEs, but also Latin American SMEs? Because Mercado Libre is also, it's huge. It's even in Mexico as well. And as you said, Mauricio, 25%. But so how does that fit into the strategy? How do marketplaces fit?
So Sarah, for the medium and small companies in Brazil, we all always share the information that is very good for the company to be inside of the marketplace, because a company that is starting their operation until have the audience enough to be independent of another operation, it takes time, and this small company and medium companies always wanted to don't have too much time to waste and they need to have good results faster. And the best way to do it is start with marketplace as Mercado Libre, as Sinova, as B2W, and other players, because in this kind of situation we have the audience is already there, and you can practice prices uh, to start to keep the increase the sales in a different way. It's not too healthy for most part of companies establish the operations just with the marketplaces, because the taxes and the service, the cost of service is not cheaper than the traditional way, that is your own e-commerce, because we have marketplaces that charge the seller from 10 to 21% of sales. And yeah, is if out of Brazil is almost I think that is impracticable. I think that is impossible proceed with this huge service attacks. But here in Brazil is the common scenario, and the average cost is from 10 to 21% is 15%, and you can consider most of time excluding the Mercado Libre, the other marketplaces charge 16%, including the shipping cost. So you need to do a very good plan, a very good strategy to see the profit of this operation. Because if you buy a product and you put on the market on the another place that is not Mercado Libre, or another place that charge the price of the goods and the shipping cost, maybe your operation will be a very tragic for the seller. Because with the national scenario is you have a high cost of shipping cost is not cheaper, and sometimes we are offering a product, for instance, 100 our local currencies, the Brazilian real, but you can send 100 reais for a good, and you pay I don't know 40 reais for the shipping cost, and will be charged based on the cost of good plus the shipping cost. And you can plan and do a lot of questions for yourself if makes sense. Proceed and go ahead with this. For most part of the sellers that we have contact here, it's good. The price is not too profitable. Is not worked with the only with the marketplace is not a good operation for most part of it. But you can use the services of the marketplace to increase your sales, to get better negotiation with your factories, importers, and with your supplier, and you can help your own e-commerce to be a good business for you, using the marketplaces to increase the sales. So as a strategy for the medium and the small companies, it's a great opportunity. Start with them, but establish the operation just with marketplaces is just for one or other companies, not for everyone.
Yeah, and it
And
also
so
sounds like it's not cost effective in the long term, right? It sounds like that's not something that is sustainable because it is so costly to do. Yeah, Mauricio, you have a lot of work, I guess, as an e-commerce association. You really got to help Rafael and everybody else out to fix these issues, I think.
A lot of work, a lot of funny work.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. I'm glad you have, what was it, 80 lawyers, I think. I think you need
Yes.
a couple more. Yeah, okay, so with that in mind, I think I just have kind of one. I was just shocked, honestly, during the research for for the Latin American report. I was shocked at how much I kept seeing about mobile, and it's something very unique for me because as an American, yes, I live in Europe now, but thankfully, but when you look at the European market and you look at the U.S. market and other um, I don't want to say, I guess, yeah, Western, I don't even know what you would call that. Yeah, Western countries, or just some countries that maybe have had e-commerce for longer, let's say. They've had e-commerce systems for a lot longer than some other Latin American countries. You find that a lot of times they are accessing, they're looking at things on their mobile device, but then when it comes to purchasing, they are purchasing on their laptop or on their desktop. That is overwhelmingly true. But what you said about the 32% sales in Brazil on mobile, and that's something that you don't see very often in these other countries. And so I'm wondering, I have two, I will finish up with these last questions from me at least, one for Mauricio and one for Rafael. We'll go to Mauricio first. Uh, how would you say, what do you think the future is then for mobile commerce or m-commerce in Latin America as a whole, Brazil, of course, and what do you think needs to change in the landscape to make it so that mobile commerce really does flourish in a way that SMEs can use it? Because right now you can create an app. Amazon has an app, and there's the Wish app, and there's all these different apps, but these are huge companies. And obviously, if you're a small to medium-sized business, you can't afford to create an app and do all that. So where is the future going for SMEs, and what do you think needs to happen or change, maybe policy-wise or whatever, to make that more, I don't know, make them able to succeed in mobile commerce? I hope that makes sense.
Sure. I think the future is mobile, so there's no other way for that. I think if you sell online, you must be prepared to sell on mobile phones, because you have what does it mean? It means so good pictures of product photos with details and texts that can be read by small screens, and fast pages, uh, especially in Brazil and in Latin America. The internet connections are not so good. We have like capital cities with good connections, but most part of the countries, the internet connection it's still bad. So you must have a fast pages, and not heavy photos, and not very detailed description. So it must be very objective, and to increase the conversion rates on mobile. So and on the other hand, so everything is difficult. I'm saying here, everything's difficult because of taxes, because of internet connections. But Latin America uh, has over 150 million e-shoppers. So that's a lot of people. Only in Brazil, we have almost 70 million e-shoppers, 70 million e-shoppers. That's a lot of people, a lot of consumers to sell. The other good thing to sell in Brazil is that the imported products in Brazil are very expensive. So even if Correios is charging 3 euros per purchase, even with that, you can still sell to Brazil and have a good price, because the imported products in Brazil are very expensive. Just to give you an example, for a perfume, if you buy a perfume in Paris and buy the same perfume in São Paulo, so in São Paulo it will cost almost 3 times what it costs in Paris. So even if you pay 3 euros per shipping for shipping tax, it will still be competitive. The prices will be still competitive to sell to Brazilian market. And also the, the consumers, because the consumers, Brazilian consumers, they love to buy on foreign online stores. They love to buy because they like to try different products or international brands and this kind of thing. And also the you must have a Portuguese website. This is very, very important, very, very important. If you want to sell to Brazilians, or to Latin America, if you want to sell in Latin America, you must have a Spanish website. But if you want to sell to Brazilian, you must have a Portuguese website. This is very important regarding trust, regarding that most of the Brazilians, they don't speak English, they don't understand English. So if you want to be selling to these 70 million consumers, so build a Portuguese website and try to enter by the marketplace like my Mercado Libre and B2W and other market, or even Amazon that it's already in Brazil. So this is a very good way to enter the market. And I think that's it. That's my 50 cents.
I think that was worth a lot more than 50 cents. Well, and with shipping, maybe a little bit more customs. And so this is actually a really good segue then as well into Rafael's. Let me just unmute you. Keeping mobile in mind, right? And I'm thinking very logistically strategy here because I know that's your expertise, Rafael. A lot of my research is, absolutely, by the way, thank you to Mauricio for pointing out that you need to have it in Portuguese or in Spanish. This is something that so often people forget, that it doesn't work if you're not able to reach your target audience, your community. And something else that I remembered is that creating the China report last year and also working on the global report now, the way that you present the information as well on a screen is also super important. If you display something to, let's say, someone from China in a way that you display it to an American, it's totally different from what they're used to. And that's all about strategy. That's understanding your consumer base and knowing, okay, this is how I reach this consumer, because culturally we're different and obviously language we're different. And so then my question really for you is, when it comes to Latin America, but of course Brazil, and the mobile strategy that a company wants to take on, a medium-sized business, there are so many strategies they can take. You've got VR, virtual reality, you've got different apps, you've got artificial intelligence, you have to consider things like screen resolution, what types of screen people are even using. And so how do you even approach a strategy for a mobile e-commerce penetration in a Latin American country? How do you come up with that?
Well, as Mauricio told before, it's not make sense to start the operation in Brazil if you don't speak the language, or if you don't are able to show your e-commerce in Portuguese. And this is a very important thing because we have a Latin America. Latin America is have a lot of particularities, but Brazil is most of time not too integrated in Latin American region because of the language. This is if you change the Portuguese to Spanish, you have a few variations. It's very it's okay if you speak Spanish in a slowly, and you are a Brazilian person, you can understand, you can I think that you can give this answer back, but the particularity of the language in Brazil, in fact, are not too integrated in the other countries of Latin America. If you see the television here, you will see just Brazilian programs and shows. And if you go to Argentina, you will see the all Latin America. You see the TV in Argentina. You see the all Latin America programs and the shows, and Latin America speak and are in the same page, in my opinion. And Brazil is another situation, and is not too close as physically you can find on a map from the Latin American region. And so a lot of companies started to bring their website and try to sell in Brazil in the Spanish language, and never we work this strategy, and so Portuguese is so important. The time of to manipulate and see and explore the website when you have your commerce, and in Europe, you will obviously host this e-commerce in some European company, and it's very important for the company have a CDN service, because here in Brazil, if you don't have a CDN service, the website will be too slowly to start and to turn to the page of the product page and the category page. And the CDN is too important, because you have a good experience for you bring a good experience for this user, and you have a fast and efficient experience and navigation. So if you can as Mauricio told before, again, I would just complement this kind of thing. A good photo and a good description is important, but the description is too important as all the rest, because if you see some researchers of the last year and the year before, and you compare the United States and China and the Brazilian scenarios, you will find the United States as the United States usually have the behavior to not visit the site too many times, to take take the idea to okay, I will buy this for this site, for this website. But in Brazil, the speculation is I can told you that is 7 or 80 times more than the United States behavior inside of a website. And so if you sell in Brazil, you need to check and watch, and don't be afraid that your site will be visited 7 or 80 times more than in a US consumer. But it's not the website is not bad or not good because you have more visitors, but this is behavior that the Brazilian customer have to visit the site 1, 2, 3, and 8 times, and then after this place the order. So you have this difference of behaviors make a very different expectations to the seller, to the companies that really want to offer the goods here in Brazil. And so I think that is some points that we didn't speak until now that is important to have and take a note of it.
Yeah, no, it's perfect that you bring it up. Actually, I'm gonna unmute both of you. It's perfect that you bring it up because I think understanding the consumer is, of course, really super important. And speaking of that, I have to understand our consumers and know that they are not going to want to sit through a 3 hour long webinar, although I could totally spend a solid 3 hours, I think, getting all of your insights. But also, speaking of our consumer base, I think we're going to try really hard to transcribe this webinar into Spanish and Portuguese, because that would be super cool, and it would be great to be able to reach out to the entire Latin American audience. Okay, so obligatory ending of the webinar. I will just say some things. I apologize for not getting to any audience questions. I just had too many. This is a market that I'm really interested in, and I don't know a lot about it because I'm American and I live in Europe. I don't know a lot about this market. So if you have any extra questions, you can definitely send them to me, sarah.lone@ecommercefoundation.org, and I will make sure that our lovely panelists today get them. You can tell me who it's for if you'd like, or just send it and I'll send it to both. I will make sure to do that. What other things do I have to say? Yeah, we are definitely check out the Latin American report. Both of our speakers here were featured in an interview in the Latin American report that we just published. If you haven't seen it, it's on the e-commerce wiki and you can download it for free. Also, if you take the free survey in the report, or take the survey in the report, you can get an extra e-commerce foundation report, a full one, for free. So definitely do that. Okay, I think that might be all. Oh, if you're in Latin America or anywhere else and you want to sell in Brazil, definitely reach out to Mauricio, obviously, for Safe.shop. That's your Trustmark option there. And apparently Rafael also for any strategy needs that you may have in e-commerce. Thank you, of course, to Be Amsterdam. Most importantly, thank you so much to both of you, Mauricio and Rafael, for joining us. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sarah.
No problem. And I will see you guys next time. And okay, catch you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.